to the inch. There we go. Everyone say got it, and we're on the money. Thank you, Roz. So I'll turn it over a little bit to Mia, and feel free to ask questions. Maybe we'll wait to the end unless it really is pertaining to the topic at hand. So Mia, welcome.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of gearing up for winter weather. So we all love to run when the weather is nice, but I mean, we all want to get out there too when it's cold, but if you're comfortable, it's a lot more pleasurable to be out there running in the winter. So let's get started. We're going to kind of go head to toe. So we're going to chat about what to wear on your head and then work our way down and get our way to shoes. So let's start with kind of how to outfit your head for the winter. We'll start with some hats. So, I mean, covering your ears is going to be number one. So ears super prone to frostbite. We just want to make sure that we're covering them in whatever way possible. So there's lots of ways to do that. Obviously, a winter hat is going to cover your ears. We have some really good gear as far as Nathan, if you can see it here. This hat is also super reflective. So we'll talk about later how important it is for reflectivity during the winter as well. I mean, we know you're trying to get out there in the morning, you're trying to get out there at night, and it's just dark because it's dark so early. So we just want to make sure that we're being seen as well as being warm. So this is a good piece because it's super reflective. It's going to keep your ears really warm, but it's also going to let you be seen out there while you're running. So Nathan hat here. We also have some really great options from Craft. Similar hat, not as reflective, but has that really soft lining on the interior just to give you a lot of that warmth. So all of these are going to be kind of that polyester blend. So what we kind of want to stay away from when we're talking about winter gear is cotton. So you all think about cotton and clothing, obviously, but when you're talking about winter gear, you want to make sure that you're kind of staying away from that. So what cotton does is it's going to take that moisture and it's going to hold it. And then you're going to run into problems. You're going to get blisters. You're going to be very cold because that moisture is just kind of in that cotton piece that you're wearing. So if you're wearing something that's synthetic or wool, it's going to wick that moisture away and it's going to keep you feeling a lot warmer while you're out there in the inclement weather. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about winter gear. Synthetic or wool is really the way to go. If you're not into hats, the other option is you could go with something like this, or this Saucony band here. So these are just going to keep your ears warm, not necessarily go over your whole head, but it's just going to be that piece that kind of keeps your ears warm, out covered, so they're not getting frostbite. If it's really cold out, so those pieces are really good for 20 to 40 degrees. If you're talking teens, you're talking lower than that, you might want to start thinking about a balaclava. So something like this is going to go over your entire face. It's obviously your eyes are going to be out so you can see. Your mouth has a little bit of that ventilation there, but it's going to cover your whole head and just really keep you protected from that winter weather. So this is something when it gets really, really cold, something to think about putting in your ear. Again, going to be that polyester blend. And then another great option to think about when you're thinking about wearing a hat, if you need something to cover your face, some people, when you get out there and you're just breathing the cold air, starts to feel a little terrible. You might get a sore throat when you're running. So something like this, just going to cover that. It's going to let you kind of breathe in that cold air and warm it up a little bit. That way you're not going to feel that cold air going in, but it's going to cover it and kind of keep you a little bit more protected there too. So going from there, we'll keep it with accessories. We'll go with gloves. Another thing to think about, a lot of us kind of deal with that, is hands getting really cold when you're out there. Depending on temperature, again, a lot of great glove options. So a lot of them have that windproofing material that's going to be on the front there. So that's really going to help cut the wind, but it's going to have that softer material on the interior. And a lot of them have like the tech fingers too. So when you're playing with your watch or you're playing with your phone because you're really trying to make sure that you're keeping pace out there, these are really helpful. But if we're talking about something that's going to go, again, below that 20-degree mark, you might want to start thinking about like this Craft piece here. It's going to be a glove. Also has a mitten. So this mitten can tuck away. So if you are out there and the glove's feeling pretty good, then great, stick with the glove. if you're out there and you feel like your fingers are just going a little bit numb, a little bit cold, has this nice little mitten piece here. Again, made from a very windproof material, can just go right over those fingers. And again, with that like tech piece, I've found that sometimes I'm really cold, but I still need to play with my phone. So I'll tuck some of my fingers in and I will keep that one out just to use for my phone and keep the other ones in the mitten. So again, you can still do that with this piece here, but these are probably one of our most popular models here because it's really that hybrid of something that's like 20 to 40 degrees, but can go down below as well. So this is a really great piece. And we have other brands that carry similar things. So Nathan here has the glove, but also has that mitten piece as well, if you like the idea of the mitten. So kind of up to you. You'll know yourself. Winter gear is very personal. So you get out there and you'll know, like you run a little bit warmer, maybe you don't need that mitten piece, or you run a little bit cooler and you really need something that's a mitten. I do work with people that kind of need a little bit of both. So some people get something that's like a really light glove liner and then put a mitten over it. So if you're someone whose hands get really cold, you'll know, and that's something that you might want to think about. So lots of great pieces.
So Mia, real quick on the use of gloves versus mittens. The idea is to keep your fingers dry.
Yep.
And so therefore the material that wicks away the moisture between the fingers would actually be advantageous. Is that how you look at it?
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to just a mitten, which, you know, a lot of us had worn when we were kids packing snowballs.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't need just a mitten. You might want both pieces. So that's why we kind of do that hybrid and not just a full-blown mitten. Or if you do a full-blown mitten, a lot of times you'll do that liner on the interior. And sometimes people will get a wool liner that'll go inside and then that polyester type mitten on top. So like.
So again, cotton is rotten.
Yeah,
right?
Cotton is rotten.
Okay, and so wool or the new high-tech Cool Max and any kind of wicking ability of the material is what you're looking for.
Yeah,
we talked about polypropylene, and we'll probably get into that for those of us that grew up in the 70s.
Yeah. I was gonna say we actually have something. We have the Mizuno Breath Thermal, so that's what these gloves that we're showing have polypropylene in them. So they're really lightweight, but the Breath Thermal by Mizuno is designed to kind of wick that moisture away and kind of heat you up. So that's what the whole Breath Thermal is that polypropylene helping with that.
And also talk about the fit, because I saw you got it on there and it actually fit your hand very well. But the idea is you want it to be hugging the skin, not loose.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do get that question a lot because obviously small, medium, large, it's just going to fit in a way that you're kind of in between a couple, you feel like, because one is, you know, a little loose, one's a little tight, and you're just wondering kind of what you should be feeling. A lot of times going with a little bit tighter with the gloves is great because that is just hugging you and it's just to help wick that moisture away a little bit better as opposed to that loose material. So that's a really good point because we get that question a lot here in store.
Fabulous. All right, cool.
Cool.
Let's accessory. You want to jump to socks or go to the undergarments maybe?
Let's go to undergarments.
There you go.
So let's do bras. So as Brooks likes to say, a bra should never see a birthday. So we all have bras that have been hanging in our closet for far too long, I'm sure. But should never see a birthday. Yeah, so they should live for about a year and then we should get rid of them and get a new one. So we have lots of great options here in store, but the idea again, I mean, it's best if you can go get fitted for one. You really just want to be measured for it. If you feel more comfortable measuring it yourself, there are size charts on all of the websites, but make sure you measure, make sure you try them on. I mean, you just need a good fitting bra, and so many of us are wearing ill-fitting bras, so that is the key here. Again, most of them, almost all of them that we see these days are going to be that kind of synthetic blend, still going to wick that moisture away. Still, the key is cotton is rotten, so we just want to make sure that we are wicking moisture away. But the tech with the new bras these days, like this one I have here, has so many pockets everywhere. Pockets on the sides, pockets on the back, just pockets everywhere, just to kind of hold all those little pieces that we are carrying with us, whether it be nutrition, keys, cards, whatever we are carrying with us when we're running. So that's a great piece too, just to think about. Even your bra can hold all of those items. So
And even though we're talking about winter gear, this is a year round product.
yeah,
Obviously.
for sure. Yeah, this is something we wear all year. I mean, it's really nice because it's really high vis. Doesn't really pertain to winter running because high vis in a bra isn't really going to help you in the winter because it's going to be far too cold. But in the summertime, this is going to be another great high vis piece for sure.
Russ, the high vis is visibility. I'm just
Oh
interpreting
yeah,
it.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
Cool.
That's
So
awesome.
let's go from there. We can keep talking about accessories since we're on the topic.
Well,
if
what
you
about
want.
guys obviously don't
Yeah.
wear above, but do you have
Yeah.
anything for below? Because
So we don't. In the past, I have seen, but we do not have here currently. Wool undergarments are great. I mean, that's something that I've dealt with a lot in the past is,
they have cool max.
yeah, cool
Max.
max too. Yeah, just something, again, we want to just talk about that kind of synthetic blend or that wool blend wicking moisture away. Super uncomfortable if you end up with something that's cotton, I'm sure. So we definitely just want to
But
keep
you do
it
have body
back.
glide.
Yeah, we do have body glide. So if you're in the cotton, you might need the body glide. But yeah, I think wool or synthetic. Wool is nice because it's kind of self-insulating there too. So it kind of keeps you warm as well as keeping you dry. So I think
Okay.
that's a really great addition. But yeah, for sure.
And I'm looking at these socks. These
Yeah.
are really cool. The Infernal Wool.
Yeah.
That sounds like something.
Yeah, so we have lots of wool socks too. So another thing when you're thinking about socks for winter running, I mean, not only do you want to think about the content of your sock, but you want to think about the fact it's winter. Most of us run in no-show socks. I get it. I like to run in no-show socks too, but in the winter when it starts to get cooler, your ankles need a little bit more love. So something like this is going to be more of that like ankle height. Yes, this is wool, so it's also going to keep you a lot warmer, but you just want to make sure that you're getting something that comes up a little bit higher. So whether it be quarters or crews, just keep in mind, you want to cover those ankles. You want to keep them protected. It's just like your ears, super sensitive areas that you're just going to notice when you get back. They're bright red, they kind of burn a little bit, something that you just really want to protect. So just make sure when you're out there, whether it be something like the Belega blister resistant crew, it's not wool, it's just synthetic blend, or something like the Saucony Inferno wool, which is a quarter. Again, going to be that wool. It's really going to be self-insulating. It's going to wick moisture away. Wool is great. Or the features, which has the crew or the quarter as well. But again, just make sure you're protecting those ankles and wearing those fibers that are really going to help keep you warm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before we get into
Yeah.
footwear, let's talk about the reflective
Yeah.
outer, probably the most important piece at night.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, let's go back to the fact that when you're running in the winter time, whether it be morning or night, it's just dark most of the time, especially here. We just looked outside at 5 o'clock today and my boss said, wow, it is so dark out there. And I mean, hey, we're all working and then we're out there trying to run too. So you just want to keep in mind, not only do you want to be warm and comfortable, you want to be seen. So one thing we like to talk about here, Amphipods, as well as Nathan, offer reflective vests, which are great. We love a good reflective vest. So this is something that just when lights are on you, so when cars drive by and they're just going to reflect the light, you're going to be seen. The other thing you want to keep in mind is kind of that second layer. So yes, we want to be seen, we want to be reflective, but also having something that's also going to light up. So this is one of these blinking lights by Amphipods. So it's just magnetic. You can stick this right on one of your reflective vests. Good to have one in the back, one in the front. That way you're just going to be seen on all angles. So think about a car that doesn't have their headlights on. They're not necessarily going to see you when you have a reflective vest on because their lights aren't on. But this, again, is that other piece that's just going to be blinking. It's just going to alert any drivers or anyone around that here you are, you're moving, and you need to be seen.
Pretty small investment if you
Yeah, if you think about it.
it's your life we're talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely. And if you just want it all one bang for your buck, we have something like this Amphipod vest here too. So this is reflective on the front and back, right across the chest piece, right across the back, but it's also rechargeable with this USB and this lights up. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. So reflective also has tube lighting along the front and back. So that's something that's definitely going to let you be seen both ways as well.
What about the headlights?
Yeah.
I don't see one right now, but
Sorry, there's
So-
a flashlight.
When I was arriving this evening, the running group went out for roughly 4 miles, and they all had the miner's light. And I think Sharon, I've seen you in the mornings on the Erie Canal using those. It's amazing the difference for you and for those that are approaching you. So,
Yeah, that's so funny you mentioned that because my mother, who is not a runner, but she's a walker and she lives in a neighborhood that's great for walking. And I said to her the other night, do you want to go out walking? And she said, no, it's too dark. And I was like,
There you
oh, well,
go.
like if you have a headlamp, and she's like, I don't have one of those. So I was like, well, Mom, let's get mine out and let's try it. So I got my headlamp out, I put it on, we walked around the neighborhood, which was pitch black. And she was like, oh, you can see everything.
Sounds like a Christmas
Yeah,
present in the
yeah,
making.
exactly. So another great piece, just that headlamp, and you can kind of narrow it down to where you want it. So you can point it to the ground, you can point it out front. Another good thing to think about is a lot of times headlights are kind of directed towards the ground. So another good piece that we don't have here, but is a good thing to think about is keeping, oh, we do have them, reflective leg bands. So something that goes around your leg or around your foot. So again, reflectivity that is down towards the ground is great for cars because headlights are going to be directed that direction. So if you wrap these around your ankles, this is something that definitely a car is going to pick up on with its headlights. So just another piece to think about. I mean, again, super cheap investment. These are $2.99. If you got a couple of these, $5 for your legs to be seen. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, exactly. So
Well, you think about it, your bicycle, when we're small kids, they all have reflective pedals.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. So as you're pedaling
Yep.
or as you're running or walking.
yeah, that movement piece. So we all think about putting it here on our chest, but when you think about it, when you're running and it's on your chest isn't moving all that much. You're just
Right,
kind of going forward. So something that's on your arms, something that's on your legs is a visible movement for a car to see. And it's easier for people to notice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great point.
Cool.
Great point. Let me
Awesome.
just check the chat and then
Yeah.
let's go into some footwear.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's stick with reflectivity because that's why I have these two out here.
Perfect.
So winter footwear is an interesting concept. So there's plenty of ways to go about it. The first way we're going to go about it is we're going to talk about the reflective piece. So brands these days are coming out with shoes that have a lot of reflective items on them as well. So the nice thing about that is obviously you're going to put your shoes on when you go out to run. So it's not that piece that you have to think about another item to add to your repertoire when you're running, but it's something that you're already throwing on and it's going to really help with that reflective. So this is a new Saucony line. So there are several brands that come in this colorway, but both sides are going to have these pieces that are really, really reflective. So one side, as you can see, is white, one's black, but super reflective here. So when you're out running, this is something that, again, on your feet, it's moving. Cars are really going to see it. The tread is a little bit grippier on the bottom of this too. And then the other brand that we have that's super reflective is Diodora. So this is an Italian company that you can only really find in specialty stores. Really, really cushiony, has their Blue Shield technology. So a lot of cushion down the way. But on top of that, this entire piece here and on the other side is very, very reflective. So again, that piece you're putting on your foot, it's moving, you're not having to think about it, and you're going to be out there and you're going to be seen. So that's super important there. If you're talking about these and you want to be seen during the winter, but it kind of gets a little bit inclement, and you're thinking you might need a little bit more grip on the bottom, another thing to think about is yak tracks. So we have some yak tracks here. So what a yak track is it's something, they're right this way. So yak tracks are something that kind of stick on the bottom of your shoe. So you open this up and it wraps right around the shoe. So something like this, you stretch it right over and you can see these coils on the bottom. So this coil here is just going to give you more grip. So when you're out there and it's icy and it's snowy and you're thinking, oh no, like I love this shoe, it's super reflective, it's great for winter because it's dark, but I'm going to slip and fall. Something like this is literally just going to pull right over the shoe. And after pulling on the shoe, you're going to have more grip on the bottom of it and you're not going to have to worry about slipping and falling. So
Is it one size fits all?
So
or
they're
not really?
in sizes. So they're going to tell you, this is an extra small. So this is a women's, women's 2.5 to 6. So this is rather small. But yeah, they come in sizes, extra small, small, medium, and large. And they come in different styles too. So this is actually the walk style. So the walk style is going to be completely coiled. When we get into the run style, it's going to have less coils, a little bit more of the lugs on the bottom of it. So the coils, the walk style, if you were to run in it, is a little bit more prone to breaking, where the run style is a little bit more heavy duty. If we can get them apart. So this has, again, it has some of that coil technology, but it has it more in the heel here. So in the front there, it's going to have, I don't know if you can see it in this picture here, but it's going to have almost studs to it. So when we think about studded tires, kind of like that. So it just has little studs coming out to kind of really grip into that ice, and then the coils in the back to help.
So Mia, can that be utilized on the roads as well as trails?
It can, yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to have snow. It could be just black ice.
Right. So it's super great on both. It's great on roads and trails. I will say if you're going to use it on the road and there's not a bunch of inclement weather, you're just going to end up wearing down the spikes a little bit more. I mean, you just have to be cognizant to that. So if you're out there and there are some patches and you want to wear it, that's great. I mean, there's no harm to you in wearing it. You'll just know you might wear it out a little bit faster if you're wearing it on pavement or concrete and there isn't that inclement weather under your foot. Cool. All right, let's talk about some other shoes.
Yeah.
So the other option is going to be Gore-Tex. So something that's waterproof. So if you're looking for a shoe because you know it's going to be snowy out there and you want your foot dry, besides the fact we were already talking about wool socks, which are going to keep your feet pretty dry, you might want to think about Gore-Tex shoes. So Gore-Tex is a really, really thin lining that's kind of sewn in between the materials of shoes. So I will say, if you can get into a store to try on the shoes with the Gore-Tex lining, I would recommend it. Because that lining is sewn in the shoes, it does make it a little bit less pliable. So we all know that shoes these days are kind of that double reinforced mesh. So you've got a lot of stretch, got a lot of wiggle room inside the shoes, which is great. But when we put that Gore-Tex lining, it is going to make it a little bit less of that pliable feeling. So sometimes people need to go up a little bit in size in order to fit into the Gore-Tex shoes. So I will recommend, if you can get into a store when you're thinking about a Gore-Tex shoe to try it on, I would definitely do that. The other thing to keep in mind is water is going to be completely out of the shoe as long as it doesn't get over the top. If water gets over the top of the shoe, it's going to be in there. So just keep that in mind. So when you get a Gore-Tex shoe and you have water inside, it's just because it went over the top. It's not because it went in through the bottom.
And so once again, no cotton.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah, because if the water gets in, it's in. You're going to have to dump it out in order to get it out. So again, we want to make sure that we have the synthetic or the wool socks on. And then another really great option. So I know I've already shown a Saucony option as far as the reflectivity goes. But as far as the ice goes, the Saucony Peregrine Ice is a great option. So this shoe is like the best of the best as far as we carry for ice shoes. So something that is really going to keep that weather out. It is lined with this really nice lining that's going to keep your foot really warm. Not only that, but if you can see the bottom here, it has that Vibram sole, and you can really see it's got a lot of that grip there to really help grip with that ice. So this is actually called the Peregrine Ice, and then it's really going to help you with that winter weather. So this is like top of the line as far as we carry for winter shoes. So I would definitely recommend trying this one on as well if you're looking for a winter weather shoe. Cool.
That's awesome. How about questions? Sharon, it looks like are you on a treadmill? I think you are.
Yes.
That's awesome. Good for you.
I thought she was dancing.
Yeah. Her daughter's a dancer. That's pretty neat.
We never waste a moment. When there's an opportunity, you get a few extra steps in. I'm just saying.
Good for you. And as I mentioned before, you're on the Erie Canal, right in Brockport, New York. You have a beautiful limestone trail that goes for miles and miles. Tell us some of your personal tips and secrets that you do.
That's great unless it gets really snowy. And then you do need something like yak tracks to stay upright. So I think those are really great. I think visibility, I think you're right, visibility everywhere. I was just out this morning. I have a shirt that is completely reflective, had a reflective band on my calf, had my headlamp on. I have a head wrap that is also reflective. So I think visibility is key in this weather as well. And layers upon layers as it gets colder.
Yes. What
No,
we're
that's a
just
great-
about to get into. Yes.
Great point.
I did that on purpose to let you segue.
Nice segue. All right, I like it.
Cool.
All right, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about layers. Let's grab some pieces. Grab all the trash stuff and start there.
Yeah, Kraft is an incredible brand. Really, you got it started, I think, with cross-country skiing. if I don't-
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and we just talked to, they're still very big into skiing, but they've kind of taken that technology and keeping folks warm and skiing into running, which is great. We're all very thankful to stay warm while we're running. So I think another thing to talk about too that we didn't really talk about
Mhm.
is what temperature to dress for.
Yeah, good
So
point.
yeah, so I feel like we all think like, oh my gosh, it's 20 degrees. I need to bundle up. But you need to kind of think about the fact that you're going to warm up once you get out there. So 10 minutes or into your run or whatever it is for you personally, you're going to start to heat up a little bit more than when you were out the door. So when you get out the door, you want to be a little bit cold. So when you get out there that 10 minutes, so general rule of thumb, I would say is about 10 degrees. So
I've
You
always
think
heard
20?
about 20. Yeah.
Okay.
It just,
So yeah.
well, I guess it's a person.
Yeah, yeah. So I run very cold. So
Okay.
yeah. So so 10 to 20 degrees. So you just want to think about it when you're thinking about dressing. Think about dressing 10 to 20 degrees warmer than what you're actually going out there to run.
Yeah, that's a great point. And walking and running, a little bit different dynamics.
Yeah.
With walking, because of the arm action and the hips moving, you actually, I feel we tend to increase our
Heat
internal
up a little
temperature
bit more. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's start talking about pieces. So we're going to start with craft. The same basic idea that we're going to talk about with craft is going to go
Also
through
mention
all
just
brands.
a price
Yeah.
range.
Yeah,
Just so
absolutely.
people know that.
So our core pieces here, as far as base layers are going for craft, looks like it's running about $60.
And I'm guessing this doesn't have a birthday, or you can have birthdays. with
Yeah,
these.
yeah, this can have lots of birthdays, and
Okay.
craft apparel is going to have lots of birthdays. So craft apparel is really, really nice. It's going to stay really, really nice for a very long time. Craft is personally what I run in. So I have my storm pants and my storm jacket that I've been running in for years. They're still just as good as they were the day that I stepped out the door the first time in them. So super thankful for them, especially here in Buffalo. But let's start with base layers. So something that we're going to keep really close to us. So again, we just want to make sure cotton is rotten. We want it to be that synthetic blend. So this is a polyester blend here, really going to wick that moisture away from you. But we want to let it like kind of ventilate a little bit. So this is not the piece that's going to keep us incredibly warm, but this is something that's going to stay tight to the skin and it's going to help our body breathe a little bit. So this is the base layer. So that's step number
It
one.
wicks moisture, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, yeah,
it
absolutely.
transfers the sweat, because we glow, we sweat,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, to the outside. So when you
Yeah.
finish a run, and if you just have this piece, you would actually see little sweat beads on
Yep.
the outside, right?
Yep, absolutely. And as we start talking about these pieces, I mean, again, everyone runs a little bit different. So I run really cold. So I pretty much anytime from November on, I'm running in a base layer, mid layer, and outer layer because that's just
Okay.
how I run. Other people are going to be able to get away with something like this base layer here and then just an outer layer over top just to keep their core warm and keep them protected. So we'll kind of go about that way too. But this would be a good item as far as women's and men's craft base layers, just to help with that moisture.
And
away.
again, you don't want to put it over like a t-shirt. Obviously,
Right.
that would just, that would
Right.
not
Yeah.
do the trick.
Yeah.
It's a tight
Just
fitting
this.
product.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another question we get a lot is with these craft base layers, someone will put on the size that they think is their true to size, which these run pretty true to size. And they get here in store and they've got it on and it's really tight to them. And they're like, "Oh, I think this is too tight," but that's how it's designed to be worn. Is really tight to the body. So you just want to keep that in mind. Base layer is going to be tight on your body. You want it that way. Yep. And then we'll talk about mid layers as well. So this is going to be, like I said, I run really cold. So I would put that base layer on and then I'm going to go for this mid layer here. So what the mid layer is designed to do is keep that warmth in. So this is kind of that insulating piece for you. There's a couple ways to do it. This one here is that polyester blend and it's going to have that kind of soft interior again, helping insulate. So men's and women's here, you can see a lot of mid layers are going to have this like mid zip here and a little bit of that color. So this is generally what a mid layer is going to look like. And you would put that right over your base layer just to help insulate.
And that's part of the layering process.
Yeah.
So when you do start overheating, you let that down
Yeah.
and there's your ventilation.
Absolutely. And then the other option, as far as the craft mid layers go, are going to be more of a fleece. So this is a really, really soft fleece material. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's
That's a
really nice.
piece.
So this is a little bit of that like fleece material too. So it just kind of, again, you're going to kind of figure out your body and what works best for you and kind of how thick of a mid layer you need. The fleece is going to be a little bit thicker of that piece. And this is going to be a little bit lighter weight there too. So lots of great options. But again, that zipper to kind of give you a little breath of fresh air when you get out there and you do get a little warm.
But, you know, and I trust everyone that's on the call or the Zoom tonight are technically driven. So why, and I'm going to ask you right out, because this is, we're transparent, this is a specialty running shop. If I were to go to Marshall's and pick up a Columbia jacket, what's the difference?
Yeah.
I mean, besides $30.
Yeah, exactly. So the tech that goes into these items is really what's going to make the difference. So all of the brands that we carry do it a little bit differently, but the tech that goes into it and the materials and the fabric and then really that moisture wicking piece is really what's going to keep that different than what you're going to find at like a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's
So
by
it
far.
truly is an investment,
Yeah.
but it's the wisest investment.
Exactly.
If you want to continue learning.
And like we said, this isn't a piece that you're going to buy now in November and then next November you're going to have to buy another one. This is going to be something that's going to live with you for years. So keep that in mind. It's an investment, but if you think about it over its lifetime, it is going to be something that's really going to be worth its while down the line.
Before we get away from this aspect, because this is such a beautiful piece, and again, an investment of, let's say it's $79 or maybe 119, I don't know, but I'm sure it's well worth it.
79.
How is it right?
Yeah.
There you go. I should go on The Price is Right. How do you launder it so that it maintains its capabilities? Because I know with Gore-Tex, you really do want to dry that because it helps the seam seals. And everything. But talk about that.
Something like this is going to be, I know we all hate it, but it's going to be cool water washing and hanging it to dry.
Okay.
I know.
It's
Yeah,
important.
it is. Because again, you want this to live with you for years.
You
You
know
want to
how
make sure you're doing it right.
You know how we read directions, right?
Yep.
Yeah, or not.
Yeah, you don't. But yeah, so that is something that you're just want to be cognizant of. Again, you're just going to make sure cool water and then just hang it when you're done.
Okay, and they dry very quickly.
Oh yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
that's the idea of this.
Yep.
Okay. Let's move on to, what else you got?
Jackets.
Oh, yeah, neat.
Yeah. So let's talk about jackets. So this is a women's craft jacket. I think we already sold out of the men's one because these jackets are so nice, to be honest. But we'll just talk about it anyways. So the really nice thing about the craft jackets is this material in the front here is like a 3-ply material. It's going to keep you really warm, but it's also windproof. So really nice to have that windproof piece in the front there to really cut the wind. But when you look at the sleeves and the back, it's this really nice lined polyester, going to be that really soft material that's going to kind of help let you move when you're running. Because I mean, yes, we want to be super warm and windproof, but we also want to feel comfortable when we're running. So we want that movement piece too, which again, I think is something to keep in mind when you are trying items on and you're trying to figure out what your size is. I always tell people, run around the store, move, do what you're going to be doing in
That's
it.
a great idea.
Because when you're thinking about it and you're like, well, do you think this fits by looking at me? I'm like, well, move, do what you're going to do in it. Make sure it's comfortable. So we don't want any of those pieces that are kind of pulling or tugging or anything. We want to make sure that it's fitting properly. So again, when you're trying things on, make sure you're kind of moving, doing what you're doing in it, run around the shop, do what you need to. But super, super warm piece here. So again, this would go over that mid layer. So it kind of be base layer, mid layer, this piece here, if it's really cold. If you run a little warmer or it's not super cold out, you could get away with just base layer and then outer layer. The other thing to think about, and I learned this a lot when I was in Salt Lake, is just depending on how cold it is, a lot of times there, people would just run in the base layer and then a vest. So keeping your core warm is going to be something that's going to be super important. So when you're talking about that outer piece, we just want to think about keeping your core warm. So making sure, like here, as you can see, the core piece here is that wind protective 3-ply. Think about that in a vest as well. So if you're out there and it's not super cold, you could get away with that base layer and then a vest just to keep the core warm too.
And if you're gonna go hiking or cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, which is becoming hugely popular now.
I love snowshoeing.
You know, it's really a nice mental break from the rigors of running and race walking. But same dress, I mean, same apparel. So
Yep, absolutely. And you can use it for a little bit of everything. Like sometimes I will go out hiking, I'll go to the Adirondacks and I just throw on my storm jacket because I'm like, oh, well, this is the perfect piece. So again, it's an investment, but it's totally worth it. This jacket runs $149. So something like that. But again, like I said, I have had mine for years and it served me just as well as it was the first day I got it. So definitely worth it.
Awesome.
Cool. And let's talk about pants as well. And then we can kind of show some pieces from other brands that are kind of similar to this whole craft genre that we've kind of talked about. But as far as pants go, so again, lots of options with pants. A lot of times it's going to be leggings when you're running. But what you're thinking about when you're thinking about winter weather running is going to be that kind of fleece lined. So a lot of the brands are going to come out with their tights or leggings or whatever it is that you're wearing on the bottom, but it's going to be fleece lined. So that's something to think about when you're out there and it's getting cooler. It's just having that extra layer of fleece along the bottom. If you don't have something that's fleece lined, you can always get, they carry base layer like tights that you can put under another pair of pants or whatever it is you're comfortable running in. But just having that, again, piece that's really close to your body, helping wicking the moisture away, helping keep you a little bit more insulated. And the nice thing about these craft pants that we carry is, again, it has that windproof material. So this is actually a wind and waterproof material that's on the front of these leggings. So these are the advanced Sub-Zero leggings. They match this jacket.
Oh yeah, cool.
And they're designed for that really cold weather, cutting the wind, cutting the rain, cutting the snow, whatever it is. But then the back is, again, just that lined fleece that's going to help you be able to move and be super comfortable when you're out there too. So
is this a item that you can wear? Because a lot of runners and walkers, they'll get together for a workout and then they stick around and they drink, you know, hot chocolate coffee, or they, you know, go to the Starbucks or Tim Hortons in Western New York. You're not going to be uncomfortable because
again, that material. So if you were wearing cotton, you'd be super uncomfortable the entire time because you would just be full of water and freezing. But if we're talking again about this synthetic material, it's really just helping wick that moisture away, keep you warm and comfortable, not only when you're out there running, but after you're done. So a lot of times here from the store, we've got group runs, we've got group walks, we've got races, we've got whatever going from the store. And then they come back and they eat pizza and they drink hot chocolate and they hang out and they're having fun, but they're not uncomfortable because they're wearing this gear that has really helped wicking that moisture away and keeping them comfortable all day long.
that's great.
Cool.
So Mia, Sharon, who's on the treadmill, says that is actually has been her go-to the last few weeks, 20 to 30 degree base and vest.
Yes.
But she's asking a question. What do you recommend to put over a base layer pant? Is there anything like a wind pant?
So we don't have anything in stock that is a wind pant, but there definitely are pants that are not, you can get pants that are not fleece lined that are just going to be made of this material here. Doesn't necessarily have to be like a tight, it's going to be more of that like pant type. Yeah. And you can just pull it right on over. I know Saucony carries one. I don't think, we might have it at the other location, but not here. It's going to be made of that similar like windproof type material. Really, really nice. But then you can have that base layer underneath just to keep you a little warmer. The nice part about that is that wind resistant piece is going to travel through the spring with you, and you can continue to wear that and not have to wear that base piece underneath when it is a little bit warmer. So really good point.
So some of the folks I was looking at the chat room are in Syracuse, Rochester, and then of course Buffalo.
Cool.
As we mentioned, USATF Niagara is Syracuse to Jamestown. So it's a pretty good
Yeah.
geographic location. I mean, we have 2 stores. Let's talk about that real quick. So Runner's Roost in Orchard Park,
Yes.
been around since
Yeah, here we
70
are. Yeah.
78. I mean, it's not a mall size store, but it's so packed with
It's
goodies.
so packed
so
with
cool.
goodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have so much good stuff here.
And the newest store, which opened about 4 or 5 months ago in Amherst, East
Yes.
Amherst, is on Transit Road, and it's a beautiful spot, and it's going to develop and morph into, I think, just as competitive
Yeah.
in this location. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. The transit location is definitely, it's a really busy area. We've got a mall right there. We've got lots of plazas. There's lots of stuff in the area. So if you're traveling out from Rochester or Syracuse or something and you want to come out, I mean, that's definitely a great location as far as a destination to come to us. And then lots of great restaurants as well as other little shops
There you
along
go.
the way there. So yeah,
and
no,
coffee
it's,
shops to boot.
yeah,
Spot
exactly.
is a cool.
Yeah, spot, and there's a spot really close
Is
to
there
here
really?
too.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of great things to, if you're coming out and you want to see us, but you want to see other things, all of our staff is more than welcome to help you with spots to see too. We would love to like help you see the area when you're out here if you're not from here. So
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Mia, I really, really appreciate your energy tonight. And I don't think that's all coffee. I think you're just a really a natural
hey, I
energy
just
girl.
like it. I
No,
like
that's awesome.
running.
Well,
What
you
can I
have
say?
you have passion for it.
Yeah.
And when I talked to the owner, Rob, he said, "Oh, I've got the person in mind. Just let's wait until she's available." Any other questions from the chat group, or if you want to? I see Roz is in Nashville. or
Nashville,
area.
that sounds fun.
Well, she used to be
Hey.
in Orchard Park, so she's a local girl at heart. And then Syracuse area as well as Brockport. But we appreciate that. I'm gonna look at the chat box here one more time. And again, pardon for the clumsiness here. It looks like we're in pretty good shape. Answered everyone. Feel free to open up your mic and ask any other questions. Otherwise, we can. Do I see something there from James? Can you see that?
I did see. I didn't see what it said.
Okay. Let's see, everyone. Oh, no. No, great job, both of you. Okay, well, I appreciate that, James. Thank you so much. And again, these are going to be monthly Zoom. Maybe I'll get in the picture a little bit. Monthly Zoom clinics. We'll be back here, I think in September.
Yeah.
And
Talk about some spikes.
yeah, spikes, cross country running. Because I know the big group in town is Checkers AC and Greater Buffalo Track Club. They're huge proponents of team building and group runs, as well as they all went to the USATF cross country championships, which were out in the Syracuse area, I believe. Pretty exciting stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, Mia, I appreciate your time. Do you have any parting words for our
I
group?
don't think so. I mean, come see us. Check it out. We
There
would
you
love
go.
to outfit you for the winter.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Signing off right now. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
You're welcome.